Hi, it's 1975 and welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Xbox One. And if you want to watch the kill in that opening clip, you'll have to go to 7th Legion's channels because they're showing all the kills of IED and IED allies, and somebody claimed the money for that, and that's what 7th Legion are actually paying for, is the clips. So if you want to see clips of IED and IED allies but going pop, follow the link in the description below to Rob's channel and you can watch that action and some good poppage going on. This is me tangling with one of IED's allies. They're a group of young gamers. They love a bit of trash talking, and they have some very annoying tactics that they employ, mainly fighter lag and healy beams. I'm surprised that IED would bring in allies that do this. I had a long conversation with Mayroon, who is one of the most honourable PvP guys in IED. You know, there's certain things that, you know, Mayroon and me disagree on, but there is a lot that we do agree on. One of the things that I like about Mayroon is he's a person who really respects PvP, especially like 1v1s, and holds them sacrosanct. One of my criticisms over time has been sometimes IED getting like weighed into 1v1s and fights at Shinny with crimes on, trying to get all participants with crimes on. Or there's a couple of IED members which have been known to sit at the edge of a 1v1 fight and then immediately jump on the weakened participants to kill them. You know, which I know is something that Mayroon very much would frown upon. He's a very honourable dude, and he doesn't like fighter lag or healy beams, which is why it surprises me that, you know, he would wing up with guys like this or employ guys like this to fight their cause for them. You know, I'm sure someone did tell me that, you know, use of fighter lag was considered cheating and an exploit. Now, I always need to be clear with this, because there are times when people jump in on someone in a conflict zone who's got a fighter out and then scream fighter lag. That is not fighter lag, because that is someone doing PvE using their fighter. That's normal. When you jump in and turn it into a PvP situation, it's not their fault they've got a fighter out. That's a you problem for starting a fight on somebody that was doing PvE. You know, to me, fighter lag is someone deliberately coming into a PvP engagement and multiple times launching fighters. You know, I think I said to Mayroon, I killed loads of stuff in this incident, but most of it was fighters. Because I'm a gimbal scrub and gimbals are good at taking out fighters, I tended to take out quite a lot of the fighters. I mean, in taking into account, it was one cutter running healy beams and 3 anacondas. With all the will in the world, even though my FDL is a bit of a glass cannon, does do a lot of DPS when I heat up, it's not going to do that much DPS that it's going to affect that behemoth amount of shields. Added to that, when IED finally joined in the fighting, they brought 4 more cutters. It was 5 cutters and 3 anacondas versus a couple of corvettes, an FDL, and whatever jank Rob was running. I think it was mostly a Python. So yeah, we were rather outnumbered on this evening. We did as good as we, you know, could have done. We got a good few kills. You know, the clips of 2 corvettes on our side dying have already been used on Mayroon's channel. He's in my linked channels on my front page if you want to go check out his channel. He does some cool videos. You know, he's a PvP guy, a very honourable PvP guy, and well worth checking out. He does a lot of 1v1s in big ships. Him and Paul are constantly telling me they're trying to keep PvP combat alive for big ships, corvettes. I'm not a big fan of the Corvette 1v1s, but you know, it takes way more skill than I've got to you know, do what they do. It just, they always turn into like a war of attrition over whose shield's going to go and timing banks and stuff like that. Whereas I'm happier winging around in a medium, just being silly. I mean, being completely thumbless and useless at combat, I use all sorts of janky builds and silly stuff. I do like my frag member. My frag member is very good at like just outputting DPS, and it's good against bigs. But even with all the will in the world, this many bigs, this much healy beams, this much shields, I was doing very little on this evening. other than having my Warzone correspondent hat and occasionally flipping a couple of pips into my keyboard, because like I could just wing off and wing round, and there was a lot of times where I was sat like 20k out of the fight, rebooting, repairing, watching the amount of like pulses and beams going off in the distance. You know, you'll see there's a bit in this where I pull a couple of fighters off to the side and kill them. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. There was a clip that Mayroon used in his video where I'm off to one side in my FDL killing a fighter, and you can see my beams way off in the distance on Mayroon's video. And yeah, so Mayroon said to me he wasn't aware there was fighters in this instance when he dropped in and was fighting in there, and you know, he may not have noticed there was he might have thought that people had run crimes and there were police as the non-hollow triangles in the instance. But yeah, his, you know, IED didn't use healy beams or fighters in this instance. However, their allies did bring everything to bear. They're a bunch of young gamers. Their belief is anything's fair game. If it's in the game, it's fair game to use. Which there are a lot of people that have that opinion. The PvPers tend to seem to hold to a different set of rules, but there are no agreed rules of engagement on Xbox, which I know is a frustration for many. There have been many people over time that have tried to get the Xbox community to obey to a sort of set of PvP rules or rules of engagement, but over time many groups have been resistant to any sort of rules of engagement. You know, and IED themselves admit to using healy beams, primo, and crimes. It's kind of within their remit to do that. You know, so it's not a surprise that their allies will take it that one step further and run the fighters as well. Paul often uses fighters, but that is a crewed fighter only. There was that time he ran Garrix as a crewman, and I gotta say, Garrix skeet shooting was nearly a new sport. There were more people waiting for the fighter to launch shooting that than there was actually shooting at Paul. And if you run a crewed fighter, there isn't any issue with fighter lag. So if you're thinking you've seen Paul at War use fighters in my videos in the past, you have, but only crewed ones, which doesn't cause any lag issues. I was trying to think who it was that you know, said that fighter lag was cheating, and I found the snippet. It was Forz in our long conversation about station games and me switching crimes on. So hopefully Forz will go at IED quite harshly for their use of fighter lag by their allies. As the healing beams, here's a demonstration. IED do use healing beams themselves, and so do their allies. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching.